All right. I am now going to pass it over to Sarah if you're ready for your talk.
Hi everyone, I'm Sara Olsson, and I'll present quickly about a topic that I recently wrote a blog post about. It's about exploring ChatGPT for wildlife monitoring in two different ways. So one is to quickly label camera trap data and also generation of synthetic data set for wildlife. And for myself, I'm a software engineer at Edge Impulse. We develop a platform where you can train small machine learning models that would fit on, for example, camera trap, acoustic device, or animal tracker, for example. But I have a personal interest in the wildlife technology as well. So that's why I end up at these kind of events. It started off with a master thesis on intelligent camera traps for African wildlife in Kenya. Also went back to lead field research on identifying rhinos based on the pattern of eye wrinkles. And then in general, just interested in the tooling for wildlife conservancy. And that's kind of the topic for this, because I've been labeling data sets myself. It's very time consuming. So interested in ways to make that more automatically and quicker. So I tried out like just sending an image to ChatGPT, and I would say it's not good enough this far to return the coordinates of the bounding boxes, but it's pretty good at describing images. So what I did here was combining a pre-trained object detection model. This is pretty common in labeling tools, that you have a model that kind of helps you put suggestions on the objects. And then I send the image to ChatGPT and ask for the species, and I update the labels to be the kind of correct one. And then the data set is ready. So for about 500 images, I was able to label them in a couple of minutes. I went through a couple of video recordings from real camera traps. And next one is generation of synthetic wildlife data with ChatGPT. And in this case, I asked it to be kind of a Nordic setting and the animals that would normally appear in those places. And actually the result of this data set was the one I used to train the model that can detect these real animals, and was able to detect all the videos I tried. So for this case, it seemed pretty similar. Other possibilities, when I did this project back in university, we had a local zoo to gather data and test the model. But as you see, it was pretty gray in Sweden at that time. And knowing that we would go to Kenya and deploy at a site that looked more like the image here you see in the chat, it was hard to know if it was going to do good there. So I asked GPT to describe the environment in this image. And then I asked Dolly to generate an image of a rhino and just appending this description of the environment. And this is what I got back, the left image here. So that's pretty interesting. But then when it comes to quality, I would say it works in some cases, maybe not all. For example, I wouldn't say that this cheetah is very realistic, especially if you would also have like leopards in your model. So it's not very good at capturing like fine differences in similar species, but likely good enough for making a model that's classified like animals, vehicles, or humans, or for example, more broader classes like bird, antelope species, or big cat. So it's depending on your case this far, I would say. Just mentioning, so for inspiration, this was something my colleague looked into, like cleaning data set with large language models. So he sent through the whole data set and asked, for example, for label mismatching or text overlays or incorrect rotation to quickly filter out bad data set or bad data in the set. So I imagine this could be useful if you scrape the internet for images on a certain species, for example, or if you want to do something specific like filter out any blurry or dark images using these kind of technologies. And some comments about like costs and like if this is really useful in real applications. So currently I haven't done any but like calculations on the API calls and given data set size and everything, but I focused mostly on the quality results and whether it's feasible. But I would say that because LLMs and kind of the whole space is evolutioning so fast, it's just useful to stay in the loop and kind of keep experimenting and see where it goes. And also, Meta announced recently they will make their next LLM free for commercial use. So it's possible that that you can download the model and host it yourself and integrate into your applications and just run these tools unlimited. We don't know exactly how it will turn out, but I think it's interesting. So that's all for now. Thank you, and let me know if you have any questions, and I will post some links in the chat if you want to read more.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sarah. Yeah, it looks like you put together a great little video on this work too. So that'd be good to if anyone wants to learn more. We had a couple questions. Rob, do you want to jump in really quickly and ask yours?
Yeah, great talk. I just had a question about have you had a chance to have a look at how well your labeling goes if you compare real data sets with your artificially generated data sets? So, for example, if you had pre-labeled, camera trap data versus the ones that you were showing where you sort of had a cheetah or a leopard.
Oh, so the ones that I was labeling with ChatGPT, they were real images.
No, I was more thinking you said that in one case you trained before you put your model through ChatGPT, you trained it on an artificial data set. Was that right? And then did you test it compared to one that you had trained with real data? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. Not exactly, but in this case, for example, you could use mega detector. That's also a model that can detect just the occurrence of an animal. So yeah, I didn't do any specific comparison on that data set.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Rob. One question that might be a silly one for the AI nerds already here, but why did you tell ChatGPT to disregard the sky? I think a couple of us were wondering that.
I just like if I were to generate a couple of hundreds of images, I wouldn't every image to have blue sky because might not have in real life. So
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much again for sharing the work. And yeah, it looks like there are a few more questions in the chat too. If you can jump in and answer those, that would be wonderful.